Hello, my dear students. A warm welcome to each one of you all for this chemistry lecture. So, my dear students, today we are starting with one of the most important topic of chemistry, and that is chapter number 14, biomolecules. Why most of us have same features as our parents? My dear children, that is because a biomolecule such as nucleic acid, namely DNA and RNA, contain the genetic code which has all the information necessary to build the body. Why do we eat food? What is there in the food? So, my dear students, the food consists of biomolecules such as carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals. Students, you all might have seen bodybuilders having good muscles. So, what makes the bodybuilder gain such good muscles? So, the answer is very simple. It is biomolecules. So, the biomolecule such as protein helps the bodybuilder to gain good muscles. So, my dear students, it is very important for us to study what exactly do we mean by biomolecules. The chapter biomolecule is being divided into 5 main parts. The first part is introduction of biomolecules. Then the second part is carbohydrates. The third part is the proteins. The fourth part is the enzymes. And the fifth part is the nucleic acid. Introduction of biomolecules. My dear students, as the name suggests, biomolecules. Bio means something that is related to biology, and molecules something that is related to chemistry. So, my dear students, this chapter is related to biochemistry. So, biochemistry is basically a term that was coined by a German chemist Karl Neuber while he was studying living system. Biochemistry is basically the study of chemical processes occurring in a living matter. So, children, biochemistry is often called as biomolecules. The four main classes of biomolecules are carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids, which we will be studying in detail in this topic biomolecules. Now, my dear students, let us understand the meaning of biomolecules. Bio means life and molecules is nothing but any chemical substance. My dear students, you all are aware that a living system grows, sustains and reproduces itself. The most amazing thing about a living system is that it is composed of non-living atoms and molecules. So what do we mean by biomolecule? A biomolecule is any molecule that is produced by living organism. Now the living organisms can be plants, human beings, animals, etc. The first biomolecule, that is the carbohydrate. The first type of biomolecule is the carbohydrate. Now students, carbohydrates are basically naturally occurring biomolecules. Now what do you understand by naturally occurring? Means they are obtained either from plants or animals. The carbohydrates which are obtained from plants are cellulose, starch, wheat, rice, corn, etc. Whereas students, the carbohydrates which are obtained from animals are in the form of milk, honey, etc. Now students, this carbohydrate is an organic compound and it contains elements such as carbon, hydrogen and oxygen only. Carbohydrates are sweet in taste and are also called as sugars. Now the Greek word for sugar is saccharon and hence carbohydrates are also called as saccharides. Students, the general formula of carbohydrate is CxH2OY, or you can also write it as CnH2O n times. Students, in olden times, the carbohydrates were also called as hydrates of carbon. But students, the definition that was given on the basis of general formula Anhydrates of carbon didn't satisfy all the conditions of the carbohydrates. That is, as some examples satisfied the general formula and were sweet in taste, while some didn't satisfy the general formula and were sweet in taste, while some satisfied the general formula but were not sweet in taste. So students, we are going to study such examples. So students, here are the examples of the carbohydrates which satisfied the general formula of carbohydrate, that is CnH2O and were also sweet in taste. So students, the compounds such as glucose, fructose, sucrose, raffinose and stachose, this satisfied the general formula as well as they were sweet in taste. The second case was of the compounds where the general formula was being satisfied, but they were not sweet in taste. And the examples of such compounds were formaldehyde and acetic acid. So they satisfied the general formula of the carbohydrates but were not sweet in taste. And the third case was of compound which did not satisfy the general formula but still they were sweet in taste. Let us study the definition of carbohydrates. I shall be reading it for you all. Carbohydrates are optically active polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones, or the compounds that on hydrolysis produce polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone. Now children, what do you all understand by the term optically active? So students, optically active means they have the capability to interact with plane of polarized light. Poly. Now students, what do you all understand by poly? Poly means many and hydroxy is nothing but OH groups. So students, carbohydrate contains many OH groups. Okay. So along with the OH groups, they contain aldehydes and they contain ketones. So students, carbohydrates are polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones. Oh my dear students, there are some compounds which on hydrolysis produce polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones. So such compounds are also called as carbohydrates. Now students, the basic example of carbohydrate is the glucose. Now students, if you all see the structure of glucose, then glucose has a aldehyde group and it has 5 hydroxyl groups. Means what? 5 hydroxyl groups means polyhydroxyaldehyde. So this is an example of carbohydrate. Classification of carbohydrates. Students, let us study the classification of carbohydrates now. So classification of carbohydrate is done according to product of hydrolysis. Now students, what do you mean by hydrolysis? Lysis is nothing but breakdown and hydro is water. So usage of water to break down something is called as hydrolysis. Now students, carbohydrates is classified into 3 main categories. The first one is the monosaccharide, oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. Now my dear children, as the name suggests, mono means single. So monosaccharide is the smallest carbohydrate which further cannot undergo hydrolysis. That means it cannot be hydrolyzed into smaller units. The examples of monosaccharide carbohydrates are glucose, fructose and ribose. There are 20 monosaccharides that occur in nature. Monosaccharides contain 3 carbons to 8 carbon. Most common carbohydrates have 5 carbon and they are called as pentose and 6 carbon and they are called as hexose. The formula for monosaccharides is CnH2nOn. Now students, ribose contains 5 carbon atoms. So the formula is C5H10O5 whereas glucose and fructose contain 6 carbon atoms, and so the formula is C6H12O6. Now let us study what is oligosaccharides. So students, oligosaccharides are those carbohydrates which on hydrolysis give 2 to 10 units of monosaccharides. Now let us take an example. If I add water into a carbohydrate and that carbohydrate gets break down into 2 to 10 smaller units or monosaccharides, then that is called as monosaccharide. Now these oligosaccharides are further classified into disaccharides, trisaccharides and tetrasaccharides. Now disaccharides are those which on hydrolysis will give you all 2 monosaccharides unit. Now if there is a disaccharide and if I am adding water, then it will give me 2 units of monosaccharide. Now the examples of disaccharides are sucrose, maltose and lactose. Then the next classification of oligosaccharide is trisaccharide. Now students, if there is a oligosaccharide and if I add water into it, it will give me 3 units of monosaccharides. So that is trisaccharides and the example is raffinose. Then the last classification of oligosaccharide is tetrasaccharide. So students, if I add water into that oligosaccharide, it will give me 4 monosaccharide units on hydrolysis. So this was the classification of oligosaccharide. Now the last classification of carbohydrates is the polysaccharides. So students, as the name suggests, poly means many. So polysaccharide is a carbohydrate that on hydrolysis yield very large number of monosaccharides unit. And children, most common polysaccharides are obtained from plants and animals. And the examples of polysaccharides are starch, cellulose, glycogen, marine gum, etc. So students, from exam point of view, the examples of these carbohydrates are very important. Let us now study the classification of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are broadly classified into 3 types. The first one is classification based on hydrolysis. The second is classification based on solubility. And the third is classification based on reducing properties. But in your syllabus, you all are supposed to study only the classification based on hydrolysis. The first carbohydrate is monosaccharide. Monosaccharide is the smallest unit of polyhydroxyaldehyde or ketone. It cannot be further divided into other smaller units on hydrolysis. In total, there are 20 monosaccharides that the examples of monosaccharides are ribose and glucose and fructose. Students, monosaccharide contains 3 carbons to 8 carbons. If a carbohydrate has 5 carbon atoms, it is called as pentose. And if a carbohydrate has 6 carbon atoms, it is called as hexose. Of carbohydrate is oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides are those carbohydrates which on hydrolysis break down to form 2 to 10 units of monosaccharides. The examples of monosaccharides are sucrose, maltose, lactose, raffinose and stachyose. Dear children, oligosaccharides are further classified into disaccharides, trisaccharides and tetrasaccharides. We are going to study about these 3 types in later slides. Saccharides, di means 2. So students, the carbohydrates which on hydrolysis yield 2 units of monosaccharides are called as disaccharides. The molecular formula of disaccharide is CnH2n-2ON-1. In all, disaccharides contain 12 carbon atoms and that is why its formula is C12H22O11. Now students, let us see some examples of disaccharides. Sucrose is an example of disaccharide with the formula C12H22O11 which on hydrolysis yield two monosaccharide units, that is glucose and fructose. Of disaccharide is maltose. Maltose on hydrolysis yield glucose plus glucose, that is it gives 2 units of glucose. Then the third example of disaccharide is lactose, which on hydrolysis yield 1 unit of galactose and 1 unit of glucose. Saccharides, tri means 3. So the molecules which on hydrolysis gives 3 units of monosaccharides are called as trisaccharides. So the molecular formula of trisaccharides is CnH2n 4 ON 2. Students, trisaccharides basically contains 18 carbon atoms in it, and the formula is C18H32O16. Let us see some of the examples of trisaccharides. So raffinose is a trisaccharide which has a formula C18H32O16, which on hydrolysis break down to give 1 unit of glucose, 1 unit of fructose and 1 unit of galactose. Polysaccharides. Poly means many. So a carbohydrate which on hydrolysis gives many more units of monosaccharides are called as polysaccharides. And the examples of polysaccharides are starch, cellulose, glycogen, etc. Students, let us take the example of polysaccharide, that is starch. The molecular formula of starch is C6H10O5 times. So students, starch on hydrolysis will give you all n number of glucose molecule. Now students, let us study the nomenclature of monosaccharides. So as per IUPAC system of nomenclature, the general name of monosaccharides is glycose. Students, monosaccharides are polyhydroxyaldehydes or they are polyhydroxy keto. So on the basis of that, we categorize these monosaccharides into polyhydroxyaldehydes and polyhydroxy ketone. Students, the polyhydroxyaldehydes are also called as aldose. That is, the monosaccharides with one aldehydic carbonyl group is called as aldose. Whereas students, the polyhydroxy ketone are also called as ketose. That is, monosaccharides with one ketonic carbonyl group is called as the ketone. Now children, these aldose and ketose names are further modified in accordance with the total number of carbon atoms in the monosaccharide. Now, on the basis of how many carbon atoms are there, is it made up of 1 carbon or is it made up of 2 carbon, 3 carbon or so on, we define them as aldotriose, aldotetrose, aldopentose and aldohexose. Now students, aldo means aldehyde, triose means sugar containing 3 carbon atoms. Again students, over here tetrose means sugar containing 4 carbon atoms and so on. So the example of aldotriose is glyceraldehyde, aldotetrose is erythrose, then aldopentose is ribose, aldohexose is glucose. Similar goes with the class of ketose. That is, ketose with 3 carbon atoms is called as ketotriose. Then with 4 carbon atoms is called as ketotetrose. Then comes the ketopentose and ketohexose. The example of ketotriose is dihydroxyacetone. Then ketotetrose is erythrulose. Ketopentose is ribulose and ketohexose is fructose, which contains 6 carbon atoms. For writing formula of carbohydrates, there are various ways in which the formula of carbohydrates can be written. So the ways are molecular formula, condensed formula, structural formula, Fisher projection formula, and Haworth projection formula. Students, you all have already studied about molecular formula, condensed formula, structural formula, and Fisher projection formula in your lower standard, that is standard 11th, in the topic Basic Principles of Organic Chemistry. Students, the most common way in which the carbohydrate can be represented is given by Fisher projection formula. Study the first rule to represent the carbohydrate. So that is the Fisher projection formula. Now students, in this, a compound which is tetrahedral carbon atom is represented by two cross lines are called as Fisher projection formula. So students, over here there will be two cross lines which will be intersecting one another, and the point of intersection of these two lines will have a carbon atom in it. Now students, these two cross lines are horizontal and vertical. Means one cross line will be horizontal whereas the other cross line will be vertical. Now students, this horizontal line represents a bond which is coming outside of the plane of paper, having one side OH group and other side H atom. Now students, on one side of the horizontal line there will be an OH group, and on the other side of the horizontal line we will be having a hydrogen atom. So basically the horizontal lines of the cross will represent bonds that will project up from the carbon atom. In the vertical lines, the bonds will go below the carbon atom. Now this vertical lines represents a bond which is coming inside of the plane of paper, and it will be having oxidized carbon at the top. Now this oxidized carbon can either belong to the aldehydic group or it can either belong to the ketonic group. And the least oxidized carbon is always at the bottom. So it can be the CH2OH group. So this was about the Fisher projection formula, where there will be two cross lines which will represent the tetrahedral carbon atom. This is a typical Fisher projection formula of aldose structure and ketose structure. So students, over here the point of intersection of a vertical line and a horizontal line represents a carbon atom which is tetrahedral carbon atom, and over here you all can see this as a vertical line and you all can see horizontal lines over here. The horizontal lines represent hydrogen atom on one side and OH on the other side. You all can see it in the ketose structure as well. Then the vertical line which represents a bond which is coming inside of the plane of paper, they have carbon atom at the. Let us now study the second rule for writing the formula of carbohydrates, and that is the D and L configuration system. So students, DNL configuration system is basically used to designate the configuration of chiral carbons or the asymmetric carbons of the naturally occurring monosaccharide compounds, and it is called as the DNL convention or system. Now this DNL system can be represented by horizontal line. Let us study with the help. So this D configuration is also called as dextro, or it is basically on the right side. So if the hydroxyl group is placed on the right side of last horizontal line, that is the chiral carbon, then it is the D configuration, or you can also call it as D sugar. So students, over here there are these four structures which are being given, and over here you all can see that the intersection which is there, the point of intersection, it is the carbon atom, and you all can see the hydroxyl group placed on the right hand side and it is at the bottom. Even students, over here in the second structure you all can see that there are two horizontal lines and the OH group is placed at the last carbon atom. Again students, same applies to the third structure. There are three horizontal lines and the hydroxyl group is placed at the bottom. Then even this applies for the fourth one. So you all can see there are four horizontal lines and the hydroxyl group is placed on the right hand side of the last structure. The second configuration is the L configuration, and students, L indicates the left side. So if the OH group is placed on left hand side of last horizontal line, then it is called as L configuration, or it is also called as L sugar. Now students, over here you all can see the difference from that of the previous slide. Okay, so in the previous slide the OH was on the right hand side, and that is why it was called as D configuration. Whereas if you all see now in these structures, then the OH group is placed on the left hand side and it is at the last horizontal line. So in all the four structures, you all can see that the OH group is on the left hand side of the last horizontal line. Rule number 3 for writing the formula of carbohydrates is called as optical isomerism. Students, this is very important topic. You all have already studied about isomerism in your standard 11. So what is isomerism, students? It is a phenomena where the compounds have same molecular formula but their structural formulas are different. So now let us understand what is optical isomerism. So optical isomers are two compounds, okay, which will be having the same number and kind of atoms and even the bonds, and they will be having different spatial arrangement of the atoms, but which have non-superimposable mirror images, and phenomena is known as optical isomerism. Now students, what is non-superimposable mirror image? Okay, so let us understand it first. We basically get two kinds of mirror images. One is called as superimposable mirror image and the second one is called as non-superimposable mirror image. Now what is superimposable? So students, many objects such as a glass bottle are indistinguishable from their mirror images. Okay, whereas there are some objects, let us take the example of a hand, okay, left hand and right hand. So they can be distinguished when they are placed in front of a mirror. So they are called as non-superimposable mirror images. And that phenomena is called as optical isomerism. And the word chiral is used to describe the object that is non-superimposable on its mirror image. Each non-superimposable mirror image structure is called as an enantiomer. Now students, enantiomers are again chiral molecules that are mirror images of one another. Now this means that the molecules cannot be placed on top of one another and give the same molecule. Now chiral molecules with one or more stereocenters can be enantiomers. On this slide, you all can see two molecules. Now students, let us consider the first one as the molecule A and the second one is its mirror image, and let us consider it as molecule B. Now students, this molecule A and molecule B are non-superimposable. No matter how you rotate A and B, all the atoms of A and B will never align. So we can consider this molecule as a chiral molecule, and A and B are completely different compounds. So these molecules cannot be placed on top of one another so that they can give the same molecule, and that is why students, they are also called as enantiomers. We have already studied about isomers in our lower standards, where isomers are being classified into structural isomers and stereoisomers. Okay, so students, stereoisomers are further classified into enantiomers and distereoisomers. Now, enantiomers are mirror images of each other, but they are non-superimposable, means these two molecules are not identical. if you take your left hand and if you expose it to mirror, okay, then you will be seeing an image that is not identical with the first one. So right hand is dextro-rotatory. It is denoted by the symbol D and given the sign positive. And left hand is levorotatory. It is denoted by the symbol L and given the negative sign. So due to the presence of chiral carbon atom, these optical isomers are non-superimposable mirror images of each other, and this property is termed as enantiomers. Always remember children, enantio means opposite and mer means compound, and this property is called as enantiomerism. Students, the simplest form of carbohydrate is the glucose. Glucose is obtained either in free state or it is found with some other compound in its combined state. The sweet fruits which we eat, honey which we consume, and some essential components of our human body, all these consist of glucose. Then it is the most abundant monosaccharide that is present in the nature. Then students, glucose produces instant energy and it is available in dextrose form. Dextrose form is a simple sugar. Our aim is to figure out the structure of glucose. Now students, let us understand what exactly is a glucose. So a glucose is an optically active pentahydroxyaldehyde that contains 4 chiral atoms. Optically active, I have already told you all what do we mean by optically active. So they have the capability to interact with plane of polarized light. Pentahydroxy, penta means 5, hydroxy means OH group. So they have 5 OH groups and a aldehyde group, and it contains 4 chiral carbon atoms. So students, what do we mean by chiral carbon? So basically a chiral carbon is a carbon atom which has 4 different atoms or groups of atoms attached to it. So students, over here you all can see that there is this aldehyde group which has 1 carbon atom, and remaining 5 carbon atoms carry 1 hydroxyl groups each. So students, from this we can figure out that glucose has an aldohexose structure. Now this aldohexose structure of glucose, it was given on the basis of chemical properties. So students, let us study the chemical properties. Students, this is the Fischer projection formula for glucose. So this is D plus glucose. Now why D? Because the terminal carbon atom, that is the last carbon atom which is there, it has hydroxyl group on the right hand side. That is why it is D. And over here, this positive sign, this designation positive, implies the dextro-rotatory nature of the glucose. That is, the hydroxyl group is on the right hand side. And this glucose has 4 chiral carbon atoms, which you all can see, which are marked with the star. Our first simplest carbohydrate is glucose. We should know its structure, chemical properties, preparation and reactions. So students, first of all, let us start with the preparation of glucose. Now students, there are 2 methods of preparation of glucose. The first method is the laboratory method, where glucose is prepared from cane sugar, which is also called as sucrose. And the second method of preparation of glucose is from starch. Now let us understand the first method of preparation of glucose, that is the laboratory method. Now students, over here, sucrose is hydrolyzed by warming it with a dilute hydrochloric acid or either dilute sulfuric acid, and this takes place for either 2 to 3 hours to undergo hydrolysis and convert sucrose into mixture of glucose and fructose. Now what happens over here is glucose is separated from fructose by adding ethanol during cooling. Now over here, glucose is insoluble in alcohol. So it will crystallize out first, and then the solution is filtered to obtain crystal. Study the second method of preparation of glucose, and that is the commercial method where glucose is obtained from starch. Students, always remember that starch is a polymer of glucose. So students, a starch is being taken. The molecular formula of starch is C6H10O5 N times and NH2O. So students, over here starch is being hydrolyzed by boiling it with either dilute sulfuric acid or dilute hydrochloric acid under 2 to 3 atmosphere pressure. And students, you will get many molecules of glucose. Study some important chemical properties of glucose. So in that we will be studying the reaction based on aldehydic group and the reaction based on hydroxyl group. So basically over here the chemical properties of glucose are classified into the reactions of aldehydic group and reactions of hydroxyl group. Now we shall study reaction based on aldehydic group. Students, this reaction is also called as reduction of glucose, where glucose is being heated with hot concentrated HI for a prolonged period of time, and the product which we get is N-hexane. Hot concentrated HI is a strong reducing agent. Students, the product which we get over here is N-hexane. So from here we can conclude that all the 6 atoms are in a straight chain. So my dear students, from here we come to know that when glucose was being treated with hot concentrated HI, we got a straight chain of N-hexane. So from this reaction we came to know that all the 6 carbon atoms of glucose are in a straight chain. Oxidation of glucose using bromine water. Bromine water is a mild oxidizing agent, and oxidation of glucose takes place, but it is a partial oxidation. Now glucose get oxidized to 6-carbon monocyclic acid called as gluconic acid on reaction with bromine water, which is a mild oxidizing agent. Now students, in this reaction the carbonyl group in glucose is in the form of aldehyde. In this reaction, we will be studying complete oxidation of glucose using dilute nitric acid. Now, dilute nitric acid will serve as a strong oxidizing agent. So, students, over here you all can see that glucose on oxidation with dilute nitric acid has given us dicarboxylic acid, and that is called as saccharic acid. So students, from here it is indicated that the presence of one primary alcohol is there in the glucose. In this slide we saw the complete oxidation of glucose using dilute nitric acid. Similarly students, complete oxidation of gluconic acid can also be done using dilute nitric acid. And similar to the complete oxidation of glucose, even over here we will be getting saccharic acid. That is, we will be getting two molecules of carboxylic acid, that is the dicarboxylic acid, which is also called as saccharic acid. So students, from here it is inferred that even gluconic acid consists of a CH2OH group, which on oxidation forms the carboxylic group. Now let us study the next reaction, that is a reaction of glucose with hydrogen cyanide, that is HCN. Now over here glucose on reaction with hydrogen cyanide form this molecule which is called as cyanohydrin. Now students, from this it is concluded that glucose has a carbonyl group. So that carbonyl group is being converted into the cyano group, that is the CN group, and which leads to the formation of cyanohydrins. Let us see the next reaction of glucose. So in this, they took glucose and they reacted glucose with hydroxylamine. You all have already studied the topic amines. In that, you all have already come to know about hydroxylamine. So the structure of hydroxylamine is NH2OH. Reaction based on alcoholic group. Now students, in this reaction, glucose reacts with acetic anhydride to form glucose pentaacetate. Now students, in this reaction, 5 hydroxyl groups are being conformed. As glucose is a stable compound, it was further inferred that 5 hydroxyl groups are bonded to 5 different carbon atoms in a glucose molecule.